We know that fearless pioneer hybrid seed is developed right to meet your needs. Grows the perfect healthy yield that makes you prosper. You just plant it in the spring. Watch it grow and you will sing. I'm glad I planted perfect hybrid. Glad I planted tested hybrid. Glad I planted pioneer hybrid seed corn.
Well, here we are down at Lawrence at the National Corn Picking Contest. Beautiful day, a little dusty, but let's go and take a look at it.
Okay.
Below lies Cornville on the Caw, with its Cobb Square, Stalk Street, Shuck Boulevard, and Hybrid Heights. It's a hustling, bustling little 65-acre tent city that grew up even faster than the beautiful fields of hybrid corn by its side. A busy thoroughfare dedicated to the progress of scientific farming, to better corn, and to the prowess of the men who harvest it. For months, the eyes of the state of Kansas and all corn-growing America have closely observed the growth of this crop, now ripened into productive maturity in the face of discouraging weather conditions. Hybrid corn and good Kansas soil have stood the test, and a splendid stand awaits the skill and endurance of America's champion huskers, each a champion or runner-up in his own right, each here to do or die in this grand sweepstakes finale of 80 grueling minutes of back-breaking sport, the World Series of Corn Tassel Athletics, the country's #1 sporting event. Contestants, gleaners, judges, all are ready for this great contest. Farm creatures of every age, description, and era in American agriculture pass in review, part of the pageantry on parade. All is buzz and excitement. Here's one chap who buzzed too often. The announcement platform is general headquarters for most corn husking fans and for the officials, farm leaders, governors, and personalities from the four corners of the country. The contingent from Davenport, Iowa is jubilant right now because Davenport has been chosen site for the 1940 national contest from over 200 applicants.
It's for 80 minutes, the most strenuous, the hardest contest that takes place anywhere in the world. We cannot win. There is no timeout. They've got to go. And that's for 80 minutes straight, and there's nothing like it. No whistle for rest or anything. The greatest outdoor event in the world. All right, shoot.
The 0 hour, which in this case happens to be 80 minutes long, approaches, and the callous-duped sons of the soil are ready to manhandle that corn in a blistering game of cornfield strip-tease. From the air again, we see the line of wagons as the 22 contestants from 11 states take to the rows. It's King Corn's big moment. Each bangboard buckaroo has his own following. Tractor-drawn wagons pull the loads. You will remember that the points are awarded primarily on the basis of the amount of corn husked. But from this total load, deductions are subtracted if the corn is not picked cleanly and if the gleaners who trail along behind find an excess of corn left in the field. In other words, speed and accuracy are both essential. A lot of fans swarm around the Iowa contingent of Alvin Roberts and George Steffens. Everyone feels that Iowans are used to good corn and know how to handle it. And it's a joy to watch these Hawkeyes get down to business. Roberts set a new state record in the Iowa State contest this year and is not wasting any time getting underway. His alternate, Steffens, moves down the rows like a veteran and scores ahead of his teammate today. The 2,500 officials can't hold this crowd. They want to see the corn firsthand and scramble through the field to watch their favorites. A contestant with a large following is Ekis Vaughn of Illinois. He's big, brawny, and a two-fisted husker if there ever was one. Vaughn husks more and faster, but his excess gleanings put him under and deprive him of a national championship. No new experiences this one for Kansas' own Cecil Vining. He's in there pitching for keeps on the home soil and doing nicely. Kansas, long a wheat state, has become interested in corn growing since the advent of hybrid varieties. The proud banner of Nebraska flies on high as the original Cornhusker state rests its case with tassel toddlers like this one. The boys from Indiana are fast and efficient. Quietly husking corn while the favorite sons shine is Slim Pitzker of the Hoosier Harvest Fields, who caresses those husks like a master playing his violin in double quick time, and he really gets the job done. As the contest goes into the final stages, the crowd swarms all over the field, though officers manage to keep the paths of the contestants unobstructed. A Missouri boy, energetic Ralph Eccles, shows them how it's done, and there's no fooling the way he denudes these ears, sometimes as fast as 1 a second. There goes the final signal, and it's all over. 80 minutes of strife, struggle, and sport brought to a photo finish in one of the most bitterly fought meets in corn husking annals. The wagons are hauled over to the weighing lot where gross loads are weighed. The gleanings are measured, and the cleanness of the husked corn is also judged. All three are determining factors, and it takes quite a while to get the official figures tabulated. And early returns begin to reveal some startling upsets. Professional entertainers are on hand to relieve the tension while the crowd waits anxiously. Now, months of preparation, weeks of hard work, and productive training near a stirring climax as King Corn's own Hall of Fame gets ready to welcome another immortal, the year's grand champion of them all. Here it comes.
Martin Spitzer of Indiana is the world champion husker for 1939. And Lawrence, on behalf of the National Corn Husking Contest Association and Kansas Farmer, your host paper here today, I take pleasure in presenting you with this corn husking trophy for 1939. Come on!
Yes, with a score of 28 1/2 bushels, Slim Pitzker of Indiana becomes America's 1939 ruler of the road, receiving the greatest individual honor in corn husking circles. And here's Bob Garst again to help bring down the curtain on another breathtaking day of corn husking achievements.
Well, it was a fine day and a fine contest. The Pioneer Hybrid Field made 65 bushels to acre. The best man won.
I'm glad I planted perfect hybrid. Glad I planted tested hybrid. Glad I planted Pioneer hybrid seed corn.
We ought to take the best land we have for cultivated crops and leave it in cultivated crops. And we ought to take anything but the best land we have and put it in permanent pasture. And quit the luxury of rotations. Another very wasteful habit we have in Iowa is putting up hay. It belongs in the dark ages, really. It is almost criminal what we do in Iowa. We pay taxes to support a fellow named Wise Burroughs up at the college in Ewing. And they run repeatedly experiments, and this would be rather shocking to you, but I have it down in print, and I had Wise Burroughs look it over before I mimeographed it even. Wise Burroughs, when he was back at Ohio, did some work and obtained conclusive proof that the cellulose part of legumes, even though he took the alfalfa leaf meal and the finest parts of the clover plant that hadn't been rained on, are not more than 50% digestible. And he took the coarsest parts of the coarsest grass, which is corn cobs, and found them to be 70% digestible, the cellulose in them. I've heard him say repeatedly that a ton of cobs properly supplemented is not as good as alfalfa hay, but better than alfalfa hay. So what do we do as a group? We put up the hay and burn up the corn cob. We pay the taxes for the guy to do the research work with, and it's long research work, carefully conducted, and we laugh. Burn up the cobs, put up the hay. Now this is pretty bad, really. So let me tell you what's going to happen in Iowa, and I tell you this was just the best guts you ever saw, because I'm pretty good at long-time prediction. What we're going to do one of these days is come to our senses, and we're going to use the offal of the great corn crop we're raising for cattle. We're going to reuse not only the corn cobs, we're going to use the corn stock. We're going to use the grain sorghum stubble. We're going to quit the foolishness of either planting or putting up hay. We're going to pasture off the land from which we have previously put up his hay, as well as the land which we have previously pastured, and go up 50% automatically in the number of beef brood cows that we have on hand. The average farmer in Iowa, eastern Nebraska, Missouri, Illinois, eastern Kansas, puts up half as many acres of hay as he has of pasture. Average fellow that has 20 cows has 40 acres of pasture and 20 acres of hay. If he just pasture off the land from which he put up his hay, as well as the land which he formerly pastured, he could go up from 20 cows to 30 cows. 50% increase. And then if he'll buy some fertilizer and put on the pasture, he can go up to 60 cows, which is 3 times as many as he had. I just declare to you without any hesitancy at all that anybody that puts up hay in 1962 falls into one of 3 classes of people. He's either so rich he doesn't give a damn, which he will deny, or he believes that the exercise he gets out of haying is better than the exercise he gets out of fishing, which I deny. Or most likely of all, he's bound by the despotism of custom. It's a terrible despotism. His grandfather put up hay. His father put up hay. His neighbors put up hay. He's afraid if he doesn't put up hay, people will think he's a little peculiar, and the neighbors' wives might start talking about him, and it might get back to his wife, and all hell to pay.
Iowa, a land of rich, productive earth, of effort and enterprise, of prosperous farmers. Iowa has more grade A farmland than any other state, 1/4 the nation's total. In corn production, Iowa ranks first among all agricultural states. It is the nation's #1 producer of oats. More hogs are produced on Iowa farms than in any other state. More poultry, eggs, and fattened beef. This leadership places Iowa first in the nation in agricultural production per capita. producing a total gross farm income of $2,400,000,000, $12,000 per farm family. Contrast this with the national $6,500 per farm family income. On a per capita basis, Iowa farmers produce more, own more, and buy more than farmers anywhere else in the world. For instance, they own more tractors. They buy more livestock and poultry feed than farmers in any other state. And more automobiles. Yes, Iowa farmers are prosperous. They're advanced in farm methods, in soil conservation, in their use of farm machinery. And they're advanced in their thinking and planning, too. Bob Garst is a successful Iowa farmer. He was a pioneer in the development and production of hybrid seed corn, the utilization of fertilizer and agricultural chemicals. He was an early advocate of soil conservation and pioneered in the use of corn cobs for cattle feed. How do you feel about Iowa's future, Mr. Garst?
I think Iowa is facing the most prosperous future it has ever known. And I have far more confidence in the future than I have ever had. It is worthwhile to review a little bit. Between 1930 and 1950, the population of the United States increased to about 28 million people. The interesting thing about the gain of 28 million during that 20-year period was that our main difficulty was overproduction during the whole period. It came about through the interesting coincidence of three very revolutionary things in agriculture. For instance, we killed off all the horses, and there were lots of them. We had 25 million horses in 1930 that we fed heavily because they worked hard. We fed them oats and corn, and they took a substantial part of our agricultural production. Well, during that 20-year period, we eliminated horses. Instead of having 25 million heavily fed horses, we now have 5 million relics that don't eat much. That was one of the major developments. Another one was the development of hybrid seed corn. We started out in 1930 with 0.5% of the acres planted with hybrid seed corn. At the end of 20 years, we have universally planted our corn acres with hybrid seed corn and made a phenomenal increase. For instance, we used to grow in the United States 100